get to these three, we got to vote on each of them separately.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay. At this time, we will start the Wednesday, January 21st meeting of the Trumbull Planning and Zoning Commission. Would everyone please rise? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call. We have Ms. Hall here, and she will be voting in place of Mr. Silber. Mr. Silber is absent. We have Ms. Delvecchio is here. We have Mr. Kroll here, who will be voting in place of Mr. Cousins, who has resigned and moved out of town, unfortunately. We wish him well, for those that don't know. Mr. Deacon is here. I am here, and we thank Mr. Cousins for all his work on the years that he did spend here. So, is that good, Abigail? Thank you. All right. Okay. So, first on the agenda is 35 Nutmeg Drive, applicant Jonathan Cruz requesting a special permit application to allow the operation of a private occupational barber school in IL3 zone pursuant to Article 2, Section 4.1.4 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, file 2601. Is there somebody here on behalf? All right, so how this works, come on up, say your name and address for the record, and then we're going to let staff give the report and see if there's anything you need to say after.
I'm Jonathan Cruz.
You have to push the green button on the bottom.
It does say it. I'm Jonathan Cruz, 35 Nutmeg Drive, Suite 330, Trumbull, Connecticut, 06611.
The business address, you got to give your...
375 Ocean View Terrace, Stratford, Connecticut, 06614.
Okay. All right, staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is looking to occupy the space for a occupational barber school. The property is zoned IL3. The use is allowed as a special permit. The space being occupied is 1,855 square feet. And that's it.
It meets all the requirements and regulations, right?
Correct.
Nothing special. Plenty of parking.
Yes.
Everything's good. Anything you have to add?
No.
Good job. Is there anybody here from the public who'd like to speak for or against this application? No, this may be a little more of a formality because of it's going somewhere where it's allowed, but we'll go around. Mr. Kroll, any questions?
I reviewed it. No concerns, no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Deacon?
Believe it or not, long hairs do use barbers. Beards.
I know.
So I'm in support of this.
Thank you. Ms. Delvecchio? Good? No one here from the public? We're good. I'll take a motion to close. Mr. Deacon, second. Ms. Hall, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll take a motion. Mr. Deacon, a second. Ms. Delvecchio. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thanks for bringing your business to Trumbull.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Also, before you open, just make sure you contact the Economic Development Department so we can do a ribbon cutting for you.
Okay, I don't think those guys thought this was going to take 2 minutes, so they're probably not ready. They're not?
I can speak on behalf of the
Okay. All right, so we're going to, yeah, so we're going to close the hearing?
No, we're not.
Well, you can tell them we're starting. They're not going to talk, but you can tell them we're starting. Okay. Yeah, you're not going to speak, right? We're just going to open and close it? Good. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the three amendments here, the three applications that we're going to discuss, and we're going to discuss them, and then we will go back and take each one separately to vote, because there are some modifications, I guess we'll call them, as we're moving forward, right? So we're doing number 2, number 3, and number 4. The text amendment in the applicant's 2105, 2125 Reservoir Ave, requesting to create Article 2, Section 2.8 Reservoir Apartment District Overlay Zone. Copy of the regulations on file in the P&Z office with the town clerk. It is file 2518, and it's continued from last month's meeting. We're also doing number 3, zone change. Same address, 2105, 2125 Reservoir Avenue. Applicant is the LLC requesting a zone change to the property located on 2105, 2125 Reservoir Avenue from a Zone A to the new Reservoir Apartment District Overlay Zone pursuant to Article 2, Section 2.8.4 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, and that is file 2519. Number 4 is same address. Applicant 2105, 2125 is requesting a special permit site plan approval for development of an apartment building with 48 units pursuant to Article 2, Section 2.8 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations, file 2520. This is also all 3 continued from December 17th. For those watching from home, we'll review what we're doing here. This is one of the cases where, so one of the things that we're doing tonight is, this is one of the cases where someone applies for a regulation to be created, and once, if it is approved, they have to place that regulation and put that property in the zone that was newly created, and then once that's done, if they're going to develop, they have to present a plan to develop. They're doing all 3 and creating something from scratch. That's what these 3 are. So, I'm going to take number 2 first, file 2518. Yeah, I'm going to close the public hearing on each one.
Oh, yes, sir.
I got it. It's not my first review. All right, so for file 2518, I will take a motion to close that hearing. Ms. Delvecchio, is there a second? Mr. Kroll, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. What? You didn't second that? Oh, I thought you nodded your head. Mr. Deacon, you seconding that? Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3.
Chairman, this is to close the public.
Close the public hearing. We're still going to have discussion on modifications. Did you not want to close the hearing? You want something to be said?
One by one or all 3?
We're doing it one by one because each one is an independent application. We can't close them all at once. If there's something you think you need to say on the record within the hearing, we can keep it open. I'd be glad to hear what you have to say, but we are going to discuss any modifications that are going to come up or any amendments or any changes before we vote. And then we will do those amendments if they exist in our discussions to move forward on each of them. That's what we're doing. Okay? Is there anything you need to say on the record?
I still had some questions and concerns. I still had some questions and concerns that I'd like to discuss.
Go right ahead.
You can also discuss them with the commission in the work session. So the
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
okay,
Really.
Yeah.
the public hearing is only interaction with the public or the applicant. So
Right.
we can discuss within the commission. Right now, we're just closing the public hearing. I spoke
Okay,
with
I
the
want to
applicant.
make sure it
and-
wasn't closed for us.
No, sir.
We're just for more familiarity.
Yeah.
We're at the point where
Normally, I'm not speaking during that portion, so.
right. So we are at the point where we've heard everything that they need to present, and we have it, and we're now moving forward. But we have full authority to accept or modify or add or subtract in any shape or form. We decide in the work session, and then that's what we vote on. So that's where your comments will be very pertinent. If you needed something on the record, you think you're good.
All set.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion about closing file 2518? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. At this time, I will take a motion to close 2519. Mr. Deacon, is there a second? Ms. Hall. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. And now I'll take a motion to close 2520. Ms. Delvecchio. Second, Mr. Deacon. Any discussions? None? All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Now, for efficiency, Mr. Cordone is going to read a couple things here that we have prepared with staff from all the comments from commissioners, right, have been absorbed. Staff took the notes and put down some proposed amendments to each that will affect each of these, right? So, Mr. Cordone, would you do us the privilege of presenting that?
Sure, Mr. Chairman, and for each of the commissioners, on your table is a one-page document that says proposed amendments that I left for you, so you can see that there if you want to follow along. For the record, I've spoken with Attorney Bellis, the applicant's attorney. He could not be here tonight. He had a hearing in another town, and he is aware of the first two amendments are his. That the first one deals with an amendment to 2.82E, which will modify the heights. We're going to replace it with a new 2.82E, which shall say no building shall exceed a height of 45 feet with an allowance of an additional 5 feet for utility structures and screening. The next amendment would be to delete paragraph 2.82K2i, which is a reference to the town engineer's approval of the application, but we're going to deal with that with a condition, which is our normal conduct. The next paragraph is one of the issues that came up, or the next amendment was with respect to whether we could use the transit district as a mechanism for getting affordable points. The transit district is a multiple step process. We don't have a transit district right now, and there's certain aspects of the law that don't take effect until July. So the applicant has agreed to this amendment, and what it does is it states that 15% of the total units shall be designated as affordable units. Affordable meaning units restricted to the 80% area median income, and that will otherwise comply with Connecticut law to give us points for the moratorium. And the last amendment is a new paragraph, section 2.85. This is from recommendation of staff, and it reads, in order to understand the impacts of on the community of an RAD zone approved by the commission shall not approve more than one overlay zone, RAD overlay zone in any 5-year period. So there was some discussion that whether this would apply to other properties and multiple properties. This should give the commission some comfort that this would be the only application that would be approved under the zone for a period of 5 years, which would give us an opportunity to see if it needs further modification or otherwise. So we can use that as a way to perhaps consider an approval tonight without concern about other impacts on the rest of the road. That's what is before the commission this evening.
Okay, and for clarity, all of these amendments refer to number 2, right? 2518, the actual text that's being created. Once the text is created, if in fact we adopt these as written, that will be the text for this new district overlay zone. And then that's what would be being applied for this property, and then we have what's being built on it. It's already been presented, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and so there would be a motion to approve the text amendment, and then this would be a motion to add these amendments to it, if the commission so desired.
Okay, and for the affordability for people at home and people here, one of the things that we need to understand, and we're going to reiterate, the town of Trumbull has a moratorium on high-density housing, and this application is for high-density housing. And it's in an area that was not designated for it. And one of the things that we have gone through is we all understand the discomfort that a lot of towns are facing with the 830G laws that exist in Connecticut. So one of the things that we are subject to with this application was the alternatives in presentation from 830G. Now the applicant, when they came back and wanted their revs of modifications, removed the affordable content and tried to offer that it would be compliant with the new language that's being presented by the state. One of the only reasons that this commission is considering this application for this zone change, for this high-density housing, is the application is going to represent affordable housing, and in addition to, under the 830G rules and the law that exists in Connecticut, so one of the things that we're bound by. So that's one of the reasons that staff said we needed to put it back in to guarantee that we're going to get credit for them because it was the impetus for the creation and us hearing this application to begin with, right? There's a lot of wind there, but, you know, it's kind of like, you know, they wanted it. This is why they wanted it. We can't take it out at the end. It's the only reason it's going to possibly come across the finish line for us, right? Okay. Now, I'll start with you, Mr. Kroll. I want to hear what, if any of those amendments or modifications may address some of your concerns and/or what else you would like to talk about.
Somewhat, but so we still mentioned then transit-oriented district in here, right? No. Are we taking that out completely, this section?
That language was one of the proposed amendments. Commissioner Kroll, what you're looking at is a red line version of proposed amendments that the attorney for the applicant gave us in the last meeting. But that's not the text that's before you. Those were just his suggestions. I've taken from his text the two amendments we're going to make that he's offered and then added the other two that I just read. So there will be no mention of a transit district in the text.
So this article that we're looking at here, these are amendments to this text, right, for this regulation? Is this not the full regulation we're going to be voting on?
It is, but what you're looking at is also a modification to the original, his proposed modification to the original text. So we're not making that amendment tonight, the one he's suggesting regarding the transit district. We're just making the one that we're doing with affordable housing, which is a new paragraph. But that's a very good question. Thank you for asking. Hopefully that clarifies it.
So, all right, so is that taken out of here then? That transit district is not in the current one?
It's not in the original text that was submitted, so therefore it's not in the original text. It's not in the text you're approving tonight unless we were to add it in. So we're not adding that in tonight. In lieu of that, we're adding in the affordable paragraph I read,
All right, so
if you so choose.
2 point C, all right. The problem is then, I'm kind of seeing this, what I'll call a revised version for the first time here, so. Okay, so there's no transit-oriented district, so that answers some of that question. From what I can see, normally when these overlay zones are done, they can apply multiple places in town. I mean, when I reviewed these, I didn't see any that couldn't be potentially applied to other places in town.
This has location criteria, right?
Correct. There's location criteria in the text. As you can see, it has to be paragraph C, must be residential zone A south of Route 15 with an address on Reservoir Ave. It must meet certain acreage requirements. In addition to that, staff has recommended an amendment for the commission to add, which I read, that limits approval to one every 5 years. So if
It's limited to Reservoir Avenue south of the Parkway. That's why it's the Reservoir Avenue overlay.
Right, but I mean, this 5-year limit, if we get more applications on the same road, we might be opening this back up, right, for...
Well, we're limiting ourselves to one every 5 years. If after a couple of years we decide this is not something, the commission decides this is not something that is desirable for the town, you can revoke the entire regulation or modify otherwise.
Right, but if we were to get another application within that 5 years and then decide we want to rescind this portion of it, that could be done, right, within...
Everything is rescindable and modifiable. They're all live documents.
So it's kind of...
That statement applies to every single line on every document that we ever see.
Right. Let's see. And so we only took that transit-oriented district language out because it's not going into play until July? And
So currently, there's multiple steps that are involved for creating a transit district. Part of it is that certain parts of the law do not take effect until July. If this commission in the town of Trumbull should determine that a transit district is desirable and we create one, the applicant can come in and apply for a modification, in which case we could change this language and also change the application to apply the transit district if that's mutually beneficial to both parties. What this amendment does tonight, which the applicant has agreed to, is to guarantee us that we will be getting points towards a moratorium. And that's as the chair stated, one of the reasons why we would want to approve this application.
Okay, and that has to go through like Office of Policy Management? Does it have to be approved, something like a transit-oriented district?
Well, one of the issues we have, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of the transit oriented, it's because it has multiple levels, right? One of the things that it's a newly created thing, it has to have certain criteria. And the town planners and economic development and the whole team would have to decide, do we want one? Where would it best fit? So what happened here is an applicant said, hey, there's this new transit district thing that could be to our advantage and the town. Let's say and apply and use it here. Well, that's jumping the gun. We're putting the horse before the cart and saying, yes, we'll do that. Oh, we can't. We don't know the impact. We don't know all the details required, and we don't know if the town of Trumbull, in all its analysis that's not done yet, would say transit district, yes, transit district there, yes. None of that is done.
Because there's also transit-oriented developments, right? Transit-oriented communities. So
Right,
I guess
right.
these things all have different
Right.
definitions, right?
Right.
And
Yeah. So
reasons for why they might be.
so that's on a shelf for this.
Okay. I mean, I think most of these overlays are not so specific, but that's those are all the questions and concerns I had.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Deacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get into the heart of it, I would like to point out there's no caveat for mandatory sidewalks. I think we've discussed this numerous times, and that should be something considered for any of these applications.
What's the frontage? Do they have frontage to be able to put sidewalks on the front of this property, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's one of the things we can do for a condition of approval, because this area is being developed and we're asking the other applicants in other places in that area to put sidewalks. So that, I think that's something that you can bring up at the end of this. When we do our modifications, we can add that in.
Okay, thank you. In the first proposed paragraph, first bullet point, I was curious why 45 feet was selected. Is that a relevant height of a story? Is that, a certain amount?
That
What
was
is that?
that was after review with the town planner and the applicant's plans that were proposed. There was modifications done to them so that the language matches with what's before you.
Okay, so, Mr. Librani, Rob, is that 4 stories?
It's 4 stories and then utility
Okay.
space. Yep. Because you have to leave a couple feet between each floor too,
Okay.
with the floor and the roof line.
Got it. Thank you. 15%, they're saying at least 15%. So that's the amount mandated. There's no listing. I guess what I'd like to know is does the state publish a list of maximum rents for these properties based on income? Is there some type of graph that we can find
I don't
out?
understand. What,
Like if it's 80% of area median income,
Right.
does that correlate to a certain maximum rent in a certain town that we can access? I realize we've never
no,
accessed that before.
each town's median income is different, which is why living in affordable housing in Greenwich and New Canaan and Darien may be a different price than living in affordable housing in
Right.
Bridgeport and Stratford.
Right, but is there a calculation that we have on hand to show what the rents would be?
Yeah, that exists.
Yes, so the rest of the language here says, and otherwise comply with Connecticut law, so they count towards a moratorium. So we're within the state's regime, if you will, of how to calculate this. That's what
Okay.
will govern this.
Okay. And the final paragraph, it's saying that we can only do one RAD overlay zone in any 5-year period. It's south of the Parkway down to Old Town. There's, I believe, we saw some submitted document last time showing there were a handful of these potential properties as is, not considering anything that was going to be combined at the future time. But it just seems strange that if you can only do 1 in 5 years, but it's an affordable housing application where they can come and have,
You're correct.
it doesn't,
This is not, we're imposing it. They didn't come in under affordable housing. We are overlaying and modifying this application and the zone change they have requested to now require affordable housing percentages of the units.
just feel that the limitation doesn't seem to have any teeth because some other applicant of no connection to these individuals can come in and say, well,
Correct.
we want to put affordable housing
This
and
zone-
we want to do it
this-
differently than this, and this
You are
becomes
100% correct.
Okay.
This language has no control over any other applicants in the 830G language provided to us by our friends up in Hartford in the state of Connecticut.
Okay, I'm trying to go through these Kafkaesque mental gymnastics here of saying why this is good, yet we tell the next guy it's
It's-
no good because you can't do it.
We're doing the best we can with
know.
creating new language that allows for certain types of builds that says we are creating this as an allowance, but we're also putting our own limitations on this specificity of this nomenclature to be used in this area for a period of time. We can only control what we control. You are correct. If somebody comes in from scratch with an 830G, we're starting from scratch.
Or somebody comes in with another text amendment to say, I want to remove that.
Right.
Okay.
Every one of these comments goes back to, you've heard me say it in 20 years, everything is fluid. If it wasn't fluid, there would be a nice lady in the office down there with a pass-fail stamp, and we'd be all living with farms. Yep. That's the reason we're all here. Got it? Anything else? Good. Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one question back to the 15%. Is there an expectation of what, if it's over 15%, or what it would be like the typical percentage that's going to be designated for affordable units?
15%.
So at least is almost max?
Yeah, it's max.
Okay.
It's a min-max. It's
Okay.
the same number.
Okay.
Applicants are in the business of business, and affordable housing units are their ticket for a development. They're only going to provide us, in reality, the numbers that we require. If they get to choose A and B for rent, they're only going to do the A if it's less on what's required. So we're requiring a minimum of 15% of them, which in this case is 7.2 of those units, go towards our numbers.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Delvecchio.
Yes, just, I know this was brought up last time, but just concern over the buffers and setbacks, that it's 0 feet from the rear property lines and 0 feet from the side yard property lines.
Right.
So, a little concerned about that going.
Yeah.
And I know we have the 5 years, but just wanted to bring that up.
Right. And then it's all, again, part of what we're dealing with under it's the A or B. We were offered choices to develop things, and it's either this or something even more intense that we cannot control. Higher. This, you don't want to say lesser of the two evils, but when someone comes in and they say we can build 6 or 7 stories and many more apartments so that they can come in under blatant 830G, but they have withdrawn that, and they tried to work with us and tried to build something that would fit better with that neighborhood and still comply and give us percentages towards our 830G. So that's where we are. So that's where those percentages, and it has to be safe. It was reviewed by the fire marshal for access, so that was all done. I agree with you on the setbacks, but, they had to at least put something there.
Through the chair.
Yep.
About the setbacks. How do we physically allow a 0-foot setback? I'm going to stand on my property line with a lightsaber, and anybody who builds on it, it touches the lightsaber. So how the hell does he go over and build a 4-story building without setting foot on my property? I don't get it. That doesn't seem physically possible to have a 0 setback. They're allowed to build on the property line?
but they're not building on the property line for this.
But others in the future
that's there.
could. It just seems.
But that's where the discretion of the commission is.
But shouldn't we put I don't know, a walkway? I mean, 2 feet, something. 0 is 0. How can he physically build the property without stepping on somebody else's property?
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being silly, but
No,
how do you
no,
have a
I
0
think-
setback?
If I'm, yeah, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Deacon, so you raise a valid point. This has obviously been reviewed with the town planner and with the applicant. The applicant may need to get consent from a neighbor to have access to do some construction. But what this commission can do, again, as the chairman's point out, this was sort of an A or B scenario. So we're now dealing with the B plan in order to have some control over the process, this commission. But after this application is processed, we could amend this regulation on our own. So we can make some corrections and maybe address some of these concerns. In addition to having the 5-year, sort of built-in protection that now another application can't be approved by us for that, we can still make other modifications that if this regulation were to still be in effect 5 years from now, that would deal with some of the issues you're raising tonight.
And also, Commissioner, that what we do is request a foundation permit as well too. So when they pour the foundation, they have to survey it again to make sure that their lines are correct. So we're double checking to make sure that if they're at a 0 line, they're gonna have to prove that they're on the 0 line, that they're not over an inch or so. So it's on the applicant to not make those mistakes.
And when the neighbor who doesn't want a 4-story building in their backyard says, no, you can't go on my property, what happens?
They have to figure it out. It's happened before.
Okay. All right. I think we have run the discussion on 2518, which is the creation of the text amendment, right? So we have the amendments to that were provided and read. So we'll still have one more chance to discuss. So what I'm going to do is ask for a motion to approve, and if there is one, and we'll second it. And then the discussion will be the amendments, then we'll vote on the amendments to the text, and then we will vote on the overall, okay? So, at this time, I will take a motion to approve file 2518. Ms. Hall, is there a second? Ms. Delvecchio, okay. Any further discussions? Okay, all right. At this time, I will take a motion to amend the original application as stated in all the amendments that were read by Mr. Cordone, which would modify 2.8 2E, 2.8.2 KII, 2.2N, 2.8.2N, and 2.8.5 in their full text as read. So I'll take a motion to amend the original. Okay, Ms. Delvecchio, is there a second? Ms. Hall. Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, Rich, give me a second. I'm gonna take a vote now, and this vote is only to amend the original. We're not voting on it yet. That's the next thing. So at this time, all those in favor of amending the original motion, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we are back for the last finish line to create this text amendment as modified for 2518, which will create this residential overlay zone. Okay? All right? All right. And in so doing, when we vote, it has to be stated that it's an comprehensive plan along with our POCD, and it complies with it, and it would be effective on January 30th if it does pass of 2026. All right, all those in favor of 2518, aye. 1, 2, 3. All those against, 2. All right, passes 3-2. Okay. All right, so now we are on 2519. Now the language exists, so now it's do we apply this language to that property, right? So I will take a motion to approve applying the zone change that was just created to the property on 2125 Reservoir Avenue for 2519. Is there a motion, Ms. Hall, to approve? Is there a second, Ms. Delvecchio? Okay. And if we do approve this, the zone change will comply with the comprehensive plan and the POCD, and this would be effective January 30th, 2026. Is there any further discussion before we vote?
Through the chair.
Yeah.
As evidenced by my vote, I don't think this text amendment should have been passed, and thus, as a result, I don't think it should be applied to this particular property.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed? 1, 2. Okay. All right, now we have the actual application to approve the site plan as was presented and modified, right? The special permit for 2520, and I will take, just like on the first one, if we'll take a motion to approve, and then we have conditions of approval that were discussed with sidewalks and others, and we'll present that. So is there a motion to approve 2520? Ms. Delvecchio, is there a second? Ms. Hall? Okay. Any discussion on that right at this point? No? Okay. So I have conditions of approval, which would be per the recommendation of the police commission. Applicant must install sidewalks along Reservoir Avenue, the full length of the property. Sidewalks to be maintained by the property owner at the owner's expense, including snow removal. Prior to receiving a building permit, applicant must comply with the WPCA approval dated October 22, 25, including payment of sewer connection fees required by the WPCA. Prior to receiving a building permit, applicant must respond to and comply with the town engineer's review letter dated January 16, 2026, to the town engineer's satisfaction. Is there a landscape plan, Rob?
Yes.
Okay, so the landscape plan is under the control of the town planner. That's not here, but in every application, the town planner has the final say. I don't know. There was no bond established, no. All right, so I will take a motion to amend the original motion with these conditions of approval as just read. Ms. Hall? So moved. Is there a second? Ms. Delvecchio? All right. Any further discussion? Now we're just going to vote on amending the original proposal with these conditions. All in favor? Aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we are back to the amendment to approve or not the site plan for this property on file 2520 as amended. Okay? Any further discussions right now? No? Hearing none. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3. All those opposed? 1, 2. And it is effective 1/30/26. Okay, thank you, everybody. All right. Now, so, we have, where's this? All right, so we only have this one left. We're gonna take 5 minutes, guys, to get ourselves all lined up so that we don't have to choke up. So we're gonna go on break for 5 or 10 minutes right now. Okay, we're back on the record. All right. At this time, we are going to hear from another leftover from December, continued. 2135, 2145, and 2155 Reservoir Avenue. The applicant is Vessel RE Holdings LLC, requesting a site plan approval for the development of 2 apartment buildings totaling 150 units pursuant to Section 830G and of the Connecticut General Statutes, Article 2, Section 2.3 of the Town of Trumbull zoning regulations. This one would be filed 2529. Now, this is an 830G application, and it's been open, and it has different guidelines for timelines. And the applicant was kind enough to give the town and the commission some time to ask some more questions and maybe get some feedback and possibly some modifications. So we are in possession of a letter dated January 21 from Jason Klein, which is granting the extension of the time on file 2529 until the February 18, 2026 meeting. I'm not reading every word. There it is, and it's in the record. Okay, so if you want to open up with a dialogue, and then we'll see what we get. Name and address for the record, please.
Josh Levy. My address is 11 Beresford Lane, Livingston, New Jersey. Thank you for having us here this evening and for allowing me to speak with you. I know I wasn't at the last meeting, so this is my first time in front of you, but I appreciate you all making time for us this evening. I know it's already getting late and you had another application. As you just mentioned, I was going to start out by saying we didn't want anybody to be worried about the timeline and that we were going to extend. That's obviously been already taken care of, so I will move on from there. I've prepared some remarks for this evening, that we also will submit in writing because they are intended to respond to some of the questions or comments that were made last time, as well as comments that we heard from town staff. And then I'm here all evening to answer any additional questions or to engage as well. So a little bit of background on Vessel. We founded Vessel really on the idea that we would help communities thrive by making housing more attainable for people who live and work there. I spent my entire career in multifamily housing, and one of the things that I constantly saw was that there was a big gap in the housing that was available in communities that were high quality but available to working people. Our mission is to expand the supply of attainable housing by delivering buildings that are safe, durable, and healthy places to live, while also ensuring long-term quality and performance. We designed these buildings around some very specific ideas. We set out priorities when we created the company: safety, accessibility, sustainability, energy efficiency, resident health and wellness, comfort, resilience of the building, in order to meet real-world conditions year after year so that buildings look as good as they do on day 1 and year 10. Vessel also integrates a embedded layer of technology. We're a 21st century housing product. We have something called Vessel Intelligence that improves the day-to-day operations of our buildings and the resident experience by giving property owners better visibility into how the building's functioning, what the maintenance needs of the buildings are, what the ongoing performance of the building is, a little bit like your car does every day when you get into it in terms of, your washer fluid's good and your wipers are working and everything else like that. As well as trying to reduce the long-term operating cost of a building so that we can keep the quality as high as possible for the life of the asset while also making it, cost-effective for people to run. And this also helps make sure that the buildings are well run year after year and maintained, excellently over the life of the asset. Vessel is an innovation company. Innovation in housing is somewhat unusual, but it's not optional. It's really essential. Nearly every system, every part of our lives has seen generational transformation in how it's designed and manufactured and delivered over the course of our lifetimes. We don't build aircrafts the same way as we used to, or automobiles or electronics. We don't use one-off methods on them. They're controlled conditions because we learned that quality and safety and efficiency and scalability come from precision, repeatability, and modern production systems. Housing is the one major sector that's still dominated by outdated delivery systems. And the results are visible everywhere in the housing ecosystem. There are higher costs, longer timelines, there's unnecessary waste in the production of housing, and the supply pipeline just can't keep pace with the demand of what's needed. So, that's really led to, a housing crisis that is not a short-term cycle. It's just a general structural problem in the housing ecosystem that we have today. Solving that requires more incremental improvement, and it requires a 21st century evolution in how we build, and that's what Vessel is really about, is trying to, enact that. So, why Vessel and Trumbull? Trumbull adopted a planning framework, that's clear about the town's goals and appropriate locations for new housing. You have your 2023-2028 housing plan, which calls for expanding housing choices, including workforce and mixed income opportunities. Prepared with design guidance, so new developments fits Trumbull's physical context. The 2014 Plan of Conservation and Development similarly supports compact, intentional growth that protects community character while responding to changing needs, including housing. And both documents emphasize that multifamily and affordable housing should be located in and near commercial areas rather than within the interior of a stable single-family neighborhood, which is what we tried to do here. We think of the proposed development as a direct response to those objectives. It delivers compact housing using a productized approach to building. It reduces construction waste. It shortens the on-site construction period relative to conventional site building, while advancing environmental priorities through highly sustainable, all-electric housing with no on-site fossil fuels and strong energy performance. The site is located along a corridor with existing multifamily, commercial, and other high-intensity uses, the type of context Trumbull's plan identifies as appropriate for additional housing choice. And it improves an underutilized property by replacing existing conditions with a well-maintained residential community, consistent with surrounding development patterns. This is sound planning, placing density where it belongs, supporting reinvestment in already developed areas, reducing land conflicts, and helps to achieve the town's housing goals while preserving the character and stability of lower density locations. So now I'd like to address some of the questions and comments that were asked last time. At our last meeting, one of the first questions was about building durability and materials, about prefabricated construction. The commission had asked, how the building would perform over time and weather conditions, whether it was built to last. We use elements of prefabrication in a controlled factory setting, an approach that's increasingly common in multifamily and construction nationally. The factory fabrication improves the precision and quality control and reduces waste compared to conventional site-built construction. It also materially shortens the timeline of construction period and reduces disruption to neighbors. The building itself is Type 2B non-combustible construction. So we use steel structural framing. The building will be fully sprinklered in the units as well as throughout the corridors. Regardless of the fabrication method, the project is designed for long-term performance, including durable exterior envelopes, detailing to manage moisture, wind, seasonal temperature variation, and to support long-term maintainability. We're confident in this approach that will deliver safe and durable building consistent with long-term community expectations. There was another question that was asked about the mesh screening associated with our entry court and its safety. The mesh screening does and another question about the exterior stair and open corridor conditions shown in the plan. The mesh screening, the corridors are all code compliant. In fact, they meet the code of all 50 states, including states with more severe weather conditions than Connecticut. Open corridors, exterior stairs, by definition, exposed to the elements, but the building code recognizes these egress systems as safe and effective, and in many respects preferable to enclosed corridors and stair towers. As always, final design and permitting will remain subject to review and approval of Trumbull's building officials, but we can assure you that there will not be any issues associated with them. There was another question asked about local labor for purposes of on-site and off-site construction. So we're very sensitive to the idea of local labor and to a commission sensitivity to that. We recognize the importance of using local labor. While certain parts of our building are fabricated off-site as part of the prefabrication process, site preparation, foundations, utilities like water, sewer, and electric, assembly of the building, exterior work, final finishes, those are all completed on-site and will be performed by qualified contractors in local trades. The next question that was asked, I think, was about the Hugh Point calculation. I heard everybody earlier talking about the moratorium and points towards that moratorium, which is what Hugh Points are associated with. We addressed this through a formal documentation submitted to the town planner. I'm sure if it hasn't been shared with you already, it will be. We hope that you'll be able to rely on that for a complete calculation supporting detail, and if we need to go over it in any more depth beyond what's been provided, we're certainly happy to. There was a question asked about environmental concerns associated with the former use of the site and the site's environmental history. We take environmental issues incredibly seriously. And environmental due diligence very seriously. We have since submitted a Phase 2 environmental investigation. For the record, it found no conditions that would preclude multifamily development on the site, and we certainly can address any additional questions, beyond the that come up from review of the Phase 2. Service strain analysis. I understand that the commission had asked for a service strain analysis at the last meeting. We have provided that and submitted it now. It explored both the market opportunity for the project and the impact, positive and negative, that the project may have on municipal services and finances. We commissioned a full report by a third party. And have now provided it to the town staff and as part of the record. Without going into great detail on it, because I'm sure everybody will review it, but it showed that the tax revenue generated by the project would significantly exceed any municipal cost attributed to it. One other question that was asked was the opportunity to tour a vessel community and speak with other municipalities. I think we said during that meeting, if we didn't, certainly happy to tour you, around existing communities. I think we provided some names of folks that you could speak with, and certainly we welcome you to continue to do that. We're available to assist town staff in facilitating any introductions, references, or just coordinating tour logistics so that anybody who'd like to come for a tour can see firsthand what vessel is. Commission recommendations on possible design adjustments. I think there were a few that got mentioned last time. Some discussion over sidewalks along the site frontage, site amenities, potential adjustments to building height or density, the location of building 2, exterior colorization. We are absolutely open to considering any reasonable adjustments and could address any as part of conditions of approval. One of the reasons I'm here tonight is because I really do want to hear more about that and hear everybody's thoughts and comments. What I can guarantee you on is that I brought with me tonight one of my associates, Kyle, We will, take down every single comment we receive and make sure that we provide, detailed responses back to every single one of them no later than the beginning of next week, so that there's time well in advance of the next meeting to have further discussions about anything. We realize, that town commissions are, an extraordinarily important part of this process. We really appreciate the diligence and time invested by the town staff as well as, the commission and members of the public. At a time when housing costs are rising and the need for attainable housing has become increasingly urgent, communities have a choice. They can continue to rely on approaches that are slow, expensive, and difficult to scale, or we can embrace modern solutions that deliver better outcomes. Vessel was really built for this moment. Our goal is to help towns like Trumbull expand housing opportunity responsibly with buildings that are safe and sustainable and built to perform for the long term. We respectfully submit that this proposal delivers needed housing choice in an appropriate corridor location, redevelops underutilized land currently used in a manner inconsistent with surrounding uses, and does so with a construction methodology designed to be clean and quiet and environmentally responsible. Just as importantly, it reflects the very planning principles Trumbull has already adopted, placing housing in the right places, building in a way that respects the community, and meeting local needs with quality and care. Trumbull has an opportunity to meet its housing objections, but to help lead the change to show that attainable housing can be delivered in a way that's thoughtful, sustainable, and consistent with long-term vision. We welcome the chance to partner with you, and I hope that we'll be able to have an ongoing dialogue tonight and throughout the next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to run down some topics for discussion. Whether they all get discussed tonight or you have some feedback or input, or there's some things that you have to go away with and give us some input to Rob, and then he can disseminate to us so at least we can individually swallow it and we can send questions back to him individually, and maybe there's some more dialogue other than the last minute on the 18th. You might have some answers tonight. You might have some ability to say, yeah, we might be able to do that, or you might tell us to pound sand. We'll figure it out, right? So, all right, I'm going to go down a whole bunch of stuff, and I know Mr. Deacon has a couple things he wants to say. So, all right. Unless you're allowed to jump in after each line, but let me try and get through it. If there's something that's real quick and painless, but
we will. We'll take notes and we can respond as you finish.
Okay. So, you talked a lot about your apartments meet the codes of safety everywhere. That's great. That's like, you can't build if you don't, right? So what we're talking about is the aesthetics and the desirability versus the code and the safety. So one of the things that struck the commission was, we'll use a term like, it didn't look Trumbull-esque, right? Excuse me. Understanding that it's an 830G application, we're trying to stray away from, it looks like an 830G building, okay? So it kind of one plugged right into each other and not in a positive way, at least from some of the comments that were here, right? So there's a couple different safety things. One of them is, and this one I might need a little conversation just for a more detailed explanation. In between the levels of the flooring, on the outside, in between the levels, I'm told that it's graded flooring, right? It's not even solid floors, so if you drop your keys on the third floor, it can fall through all the way to the first floor. Is that a true statement if you drop something? They're graded, they're not solid floors in the hallways?
No, you can't drop anything through, and you might be referring to an earlier design we had in a building that did have air transference between floors. But no, nothing where you can drop anything through, and certainly the design.
So the flooring is solid.
And the design of the interior floors we can provide you with a spec on in terms of.
Yeah,
what
I'm
that
talking about
design
in the
looks like.
hallways.
Yep.
In the hallways between the levels, that flooring is solid. It's not graded.
Yeah, we can provide you with we will provide you a spec in advance to show you exactly what it looks like.
I don't know if that I got an answer. Is it graded or is it solid flooring?
It's not. It is not open where you can drop anything through it.
But it's opened at some. Are you saying it's not open to that degree and it's still open? I think you're using semantics with me, which
No,
I'm good at.
What I'm saying is, there are buildings we've done where there is air transference between those floors,
Which mean holes.
which means
Holes.
somewhat like
Right.
very tiny holes.
Right. How about this building you're proposing?
I do not know what the floors are in this particular corridor, but I can get you a spec on them from our design team, and I do not believe that they are graded.
Okay, so you don't know. Okay, all right. Okay, so one of the things that there was not a great level of comfort in the way that the phase one was presented, and then it was delayed in response that there was a phase two, because we know that when there's a phase two, it's because there was negative findings in a phase one, right? So what we're asking for is your ability to participate in a third-party review to alleviate any concerns that there are about any needed remediation or not. So, you know, we've done that with others, and it seems appropriate here. We can discuss that after. There's some issues with the extreme density and the height. I know Rich wants to talk about that a little bit. There's some also, I understand your modernization and attraction in the sales pitch part of what you're presenting, but the amenities that are provided in the 1 bedrooms versus 2 bedrooms, and, you know, this is a bedroom community, so Trumbull's been referred to, right? It's a home community. And the commission is kind of looking at this when you're having apartments that are built with no stoves, no ovens. And, you know, we want to talk about, is there some ability to provide that? Is that only in the 1 bedrooms that there's no stove, or are there no stoves in any of the apartments? Do we know that answer?
Sorry, I'm just writing all this down. I can get you a specific spec on the kitchen. I believe our latest design for kitchens that will be applicable to this 2026 version of the building has full stoves in it, but I will get you a spec on that so that I can confirm the kitchen.
That would be a plus. So you think there possibly could be full stoves in this development?
Yes. I believe.
Okay,
I believe that is the case, but I will get you a spec on it and confirm that.
I gotta
in the
tell you,
process.
if we're calling these things hurdles, that's one of the bigger ones, so. All right, let me see if I can read my own writing. Okay, the service strain analysis, we're gonna need time to go through that, because one of the things that we're kind of proud of is we've required it from everybody who's done high-density housing, right? And one of the things that we are able to say is that in the high-density developments that have occurred and provided those service drains, they have been at or under the projections. So what we're going to have to do is now, you know, it's the 11th hour, we just got it, they're going to have to compare and contrast to what the other service drain analysis said and what the realities were. And we have some of that data. All right. Okay. The styles, the outside, you know, like I said, it's an 830G application. There probably shouldn't or doesn't have to look like an 830G building. So if you have, like you're saying, you're going to get us different types and styles, if you have other options that are already in your wheelhouse, if you could get some of those different types of designs that are already there, one of the things this commission does and does well is work with applicants. We're not sitting here telling you which tile to use and which, you know, we do tell people it shouldn't look like a Xerox building, it should look like an apartment building. I actually said that to people, and they came back and it was completely different, and they listened, right? So if you already have different types of styles and designs, say, hey, we can do A, B, C, or D, it's something more than what we saw, and it wasn't a warm, fuzzy feeling that they saw with an 830G, and this is the first large-scale 830G, so we're climbing lots of hurdles all at the same time. Style change, lifestyle change, the 830G itself, and, you know, it wasn't our plan, it's yours, so, you know, you have all those variables at once. All right. That's a lot of hot air from me. Rich, you want to go?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. First of all, I know we just received some of this new information, so I think it is going to take a significant amount of time to review it. I've been trying to review it now. It's certainly a challenge. Okay. So a couple things that Mr. Chairman mentioned that I also would like to echo. The question about the amenities, we'll definitely need to hear about the stoves. That's extremely important to us, at least to me. The grate floors, grate, G-R-A-T-E. Let's please get some type of definitive answer on that, and we would appreciate that. In terms of aesthetics, on other properties in town, namely Long Hill Green, we've requested and required some type of, if you want to call it the New England colonial image. It's obviously open to interpretation, but something closer to New England and farther from Soviet brutalist architecture, which is not what we want to see. Not that this is brutalist, but it's there's a continuum there. It's we'd like it to look more New England. New England is where the commission would like to go toward. Third-party verification and review of the environmental testing. I think that's a relatively common standard we've done here and other land use boards.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't say, and you're repeating it, is the third-party review is at the applicant's expense in every application. So that's something to digest.
It's a standard, I wouldn't say standard, but it's certainly a common condition of approval we attach at zoning and, of course, at other land use boards. It's no slight to the quality of the investigation, but rather a standard practice that we have significant history of doing in the past. There was, these kind of go together. There's a claim on, we'll call it the second page, I guess, third page. Doesn't say page 3. We'll call it the third page. It mentions that there are only 12 students predicted to going to Trumbull Public Schools. Perhaps I could inquire as to the split of 1 and 2 bedroom domiciles here. That would be a useful metric to determine that whether or not that 12 public school age children is something that we consider to be an accurate prediction.
28 two-bedrooms, the remainder 1-bedrooms.
And I'm sorry, how many 1 bedrooms?
122.
122 for a total of 150. Okay, thank you. So, based on those metrics, there's a claimed amount of 12. Okay, so be it. We'll speak of that later. We talked about that there was no time. Okay, the good Commissioner Del Vecchio will appreciate this one. 0 setbacks seems to have made a comeback, and 0 setbacks are concerning to numerous commissioners for a number of reasons. One of them being access to the property. I think I stated it before, but since this is a new application, I'll briefly state it again. I find it difficult, if not physically impossible, to build a project on a piece of property that you.
16 feet.
Oh, okay. There was a mention of 0 setback in the.
16 minimum.
Okay, it said hypothetical condition. Okay, withdrawn. Thanks. Okay, and 2 other mentions. We got the study, the target market. Yes, we talked about that. Traffic impact study, is that included in the service strain analysis? Are those one and the same?
I don't know if it's there.
Okay.
It was submitted as part of the initial record, the traffic study.
Okay.
Reviewed and approved by Police Commission.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope.
Yeah, no, this.
Oh,
I could,
I'll repeat it. The traffic impact study was provided as part of the original application, submitted to the Police Commission and approved.
So that's not going to be something new in the new plan. Okay.
Nope.
Fair enough. Last question is, it has to do with frontage. These are nice looking pictures, but Reservoir Avenue doesn't really look that green. But I believe it's either here or elsewhere. There was the map. It showed a relatively low amount of frontage. I don't know if this application is requesting a waiver on frontage or as part of the zone change that's being requested. Okay, so do they at present have? Okay, so they do not have the. Let me ask the. Okay, do you have the requisite frontage for a non-830G application?
We do. 125 is required. We have 305 feet of frontage.
On Reservoir Ave? Okay,
Okay.
here's the.
Next.
Okay, that's fine. And this is as it is, or is this showing demolition of an additional? This map here, it says proposed development. I don't know if it has a number. Is this contingent upon the acquisition and demolition of an existing house, or?
There is a house there. There's 3 parcels that are contiguous.
Okay, because I saw on the map, the other one seemed to have a split off of 2 rectangular lots here. And the third lot, the main one, it goes back to the salvage yard.
There's 2 at the front and then one at the back. That's correct.
Okay, so without those 2, it's an integral part of the application then, those 2?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
all together. It's a consolidated.
Okay, that's why I thought the frontage was so low.
Yes,
Okay,
consolidated lot.
okay. And, okay. So there's no egress on the south side, never mind. Okay. All right, final thing. It mentioned that that at present, the current use of the project, current use of the property, excuse me, is not consistent with the neighbors. I would contend that neither is this, neither here nor there, but it is not adding any consistency. It is going from a junkyard to a tower, neither of which are like what's adjacent to it. So there you go. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so while we're on, I just have some cleanup from my own comments. The sidewalks is fine, that would end up being part of it. But there's plantings and landscaping. I don't know if you guys presented any landscaping at all. There was some limited in there.
We
So
presented a landscaping
right.
plan.
So that's gonna go under with Rob for now till the next one, and there may be some communication back and forth because one of the things we did several years back is we removed the tree warden from having some level of oversight in these applications and handed it over to the town, which makes much more sense. So there'll be communication between you guys. All right, there's a couple other things, but I'm gonna jump around. Mr. Kroll, you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, I mean, you've provided a wealth of interesting information, so that's helpful and appreciated. Part of what you were just discussing sounded like you would be continuing on as the building manager after you do the development, if this was to go through. Is that the case? Do you continue to manage the building, or do you end up outsourcing
We're
that?
not property managers, no.
You're not. Also on the design, so this basic building that you have with the prefab modular design, how many of these buildings have you built?
We have 2 that are operational currently and several more in construction.
And how long has the oldest one been in place?
About 3.5 years.
Okay. I think everything else I had was covered by the chairman and by Rich, so
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Ms. Hall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was my question. How long? So you talked a little bit about sustainability. What are your sustainability efforts?
Well, really around a few things. One, all electric buildings, so we don't use fossil fuels. High efficiency systems for heating and cooling. We have water management systems, leak detection controls in the building to enhance sustainability. We have water usage management as well as electric usage management as part of our technology system that's built into the building. Very tight envelopes for the building. Part of the prefabrication allows us to get a very tight envelope that produces leakage of air out of the building. And then all of our materials a lot of the materials we use are intended to be sustainable materials. Lower construction timelines on site, less trucks on site, so we're not emitting fossil fuels. All native plants, no ongoing irrigation needed for the plantings that we use, so that we're not wasting water on the site, but still making sure that the plants are insect and water resistant. Number of other things. We certainly can provide almost like an exhibit to it if that's helpful.
Okay, great, thank you. And in terms of the building that's been there 3 years, have you had any feedback in terms of maintenance?
Renewals have been excellent throughout the whole period. Maintenance has been very, very low. Have no operational issues over the course of the property's operations. And it's in a city location that has high use, so to speak. So it's performed excellently.
Can you tell us the location of that?
It's in Trenton, New Jersey.
Thank you.
And in Connecticut, is New London open? I know New London and Cheshire are the ones you're doing. Connecticut right now.
New London is open, yes.
Okay, and how long has that been occupied?
About a year, a little over a year.
Okay. So a couple questions. One is when you looking at the makeup of the units. So there's a combination of 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, but there's also 2-bedroom plus den, which could be 3 bedrooms. So that's a concern of more students. So just that would be a concern for me, is that there's 2 bedrooms plus dens, because that will attract more families and more impact on our services. The other question that I had was and I'm assuming the answer is no, because this would have been addressed, but because of what this was used for as a contractor storage yard, does this have any Transfer Act implications at all?
It does not.
Okay.
No, that's addressed in the Phase 2 and Phase 1 reports.
I figured if it was, it would be there, but I just wanted to ask and be sure. And just, again, and this is why I'm glad we're going to ask for a third party, because, it says that several above ground tanks were overgrown, could not access the tanks to determine if they contain any oil. And obviously you'd have to clean up whatever's there, but that's a concern, that some of the things that you're not really sure what's there. So that's a concern for me. And I think the other things I had were addressed by other commissioners. Fred pointed out the amenities. I did look at the floor plans for Cheshire, and again, I think it's not really what we want in Trumbull, those kinds of amenities in the apartments. That's, again, not to Fred's point, not Trumbull S. So that was a concern also. I think that's it for this second. If I think of anything else, I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll take it back with a couple things. Can you talk to us about what the walls are? Because I'm told that people can't put things up on the walls. They're of a special material or something.
No, you can definitely hang things on the walls. They're not intended to be nailed into, so people use command strips to hang on the walls. But we have many residents who have tons and tons of artwork on the walls. The walls are made out of a panel. It's hypoallergenic. It's antimicrobial. It's sustainable. It provides a very nice finish to the wall, but it cuts down on maintenance costs. It cuts down on.
Is it painted or it's a one and done?
It's like a you don't have to paint it, is the answer. It stays the same color forever. In this case, it's white for the interior of the walls, but it doesn't need to be repainted.
And The material is what?
It's called like a phenolic wall panel is the
Phenolic?
Yeah, it's a panel that that is double-sided on one side. And it's
Say that again?
It's double-sided.
Double-sided on one side?
It's double-sided, so you can use it on one side or on the other, so you can flip it if one side were to get ruined. But it's considered what's called a phenolic wall panel. We can send you information on it and specs on it.
Okay, so the only way to put stuff up is with the strips, right? And
you don't
you're
nail
gonna
into them.
you're gonna find out whether these units will have stoves or not, right?
Yes, I will find that out for you.
All right, and what about the flooring,
It's a wood vinyl.
the wood vinyl, and in between the floors? I'm gonna want to know what you're doing on the outside, right? In between the levels.
Oh,
What
yeah,
you're-
you want to know the corridor floors.
The corridor floors, yeah, where they're, they're solid or not. Okay, and so, I'm taking from the conversation. Once this is built, it's on the market, right? This is not something that you invest and run, as you stated. You don't manage buildings. You
We're-
build them and flip them.
Well, we're not property managers. There are buildings that we own, for instance, the building in New London. But we also have partners that we work with who ultimately become the owners of them. For instance, our building in Cheshire is going to be owned by a company that's a national workforce housing owner-operator with over 15,000 units under operation. And so they're professionals in the operation and ownership of buildings, and we work with other folks like them as well.
Okay. So some things we have to get your pulse on maybe tonight, and as we get closer, your ability to go from 5 floors to 4, because 5 is just big. The other thing is, I think we're gonna have to know tonight whether you need to take a break and we can come back about your acceptance of providing a third-party review at the choice of the town, which the applicant would be responsible for in expense, because we would need those results back by February, right? So it would have to be conducted. So if you need to take a break, you can talk about that and we can come back. One of the things I personally have a problem with is the WPCA approval hasn't been done yet, right? So one of the things that we've established in my decades here is planning and zoning is the last stop. Planning and zoning is approval of the project, right? And part of that project approval is both the building materials, the impact, but also the full project and it being health and welfare and safety, right? It has to be a full, complete project. There are different town departments that have certain responsibilities. Police Commission has traffic, Fire Department has fire, PCA has PCA, building engineers, design and high and whatever. But it all comes here for the final approval. And we do have an issue when we never approve something commensurate on another commission's approval, okay? Because from our perspective, we are saying that this is a final project we can approve. We don't pass the buck, because in good conscience, we can't approve something that doesn't have all the variables required, right? So whatever is required for you to go get that, whether it can happen before February or any delays are required, because that's one of the variables. And we're pretty strong in that being part of our safety conditions, because it's not a complete package, and it needs to be complete. And anybody can tell you, nobody comes here without the full package completely done. So, what else? I think you have to figure out the number that you're gonna be comfortable with. That's between 0 and 150, So, 150 is the, all 5 numbers and the Powerball. So, let's see what we get. So, are you guys prepared and You have an answer, or do we need to take a break for the third-party review? Question.
Well, I think maybe if you give me a second to speak with council about the third-party review. But just before we do that, if I can, I just want to make sure I have everybody's, all the comments or questions in the direction so we can make sure we get back to you on all of the important points. So what I heard is desire to talk about what the amenity package in the units was, specifically the stove oven in the units, and get confirmation on that. You are going to review the service drain analysis. Question on the corridor floors and what those are made of and whether they have any holes in them or if they're solid. I think there was a statement about sidewalks. I think there was a statement about planting and landscaping. Question about going from 5 to 4 stories. And
Aesthetics of the outside.
and then the exterior of the building. Did I miss anything in terms of questions?
Just one more question. We talked about 28 two-bedroom and 122 one-bedroom. Then somebody brought up dens.
Yeah.
So-
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Dens, we're kind of like at a quagmire here, because I'm in favor of dens, right? And only because it's 2026 and half of the people in town work from home.
Oh, sure. I just
Right. So, the floor plan would be good. If you have a floor plan for both the 2 bedrooms and the 1 bedroom, that would help us. If you get that to Rob, and then we can take a look at
Maybe
it.
you have this service drain analysis person confirm that they were aware that there's dens on those apartments, and that calculation is correct, including those dens.
Right. I mean, we do have other apartments that had dens and some did not. So we want to compare the service drain analysis, apples to apples.
absolutely. Just I guess the question would be: do we have a number of apartments or type of apartments that contain dens? Is it?
Is it all the 2 bedrooms, or some?
No, it's not all of them. I believe that it would be 8 of them do not, and
20 do.
no, and 20 do? 20? And 20 do.
Okay.
Then out of the 1 bedroom, is there a portion that have dens as well? Out of the 1
No,
bedroom?
the 1 bedrooms are all the same.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So, I mean, if you're amicable from 5 floors to floor, that might be the math and the numbers, and, we can take a look at that. So, I mean, let me just ask for,
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I just have one more.
ahead. Yeah.
I just want to also include that all the other apartments in that area as well too. If you look at who built, they also maintain those properties as well too. Van Trumbull, Woodside, those are all generational building holders. So it would probably be important if there's a possibility, of giving us examples of holders of your properties and how they maintain them, or or just the name of the companies to figure out.
Is the Trenton, New Jersey one transferred ownership?
It is, but not to the company that I was talking about. It's a smaller building that's actually owned by an individual.
Yeah. I mean, there's positives and negatives in everything, right? I mean, we could pass or beat up anything we wanted. Hearing the comfort level of the professionals that are in the business, the backside of that coin is they're professionals in knowing what they need and minimally have to provide and how to answer the questions.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm just saying that because there's been instances where there's been issues on those sites, and I've been able to call the owner right away,
Right.
and they will handle it themselves.
Yeah.
And
You're going to be calling an 800 number.
yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm not closing the hearing, so we'll take a quick break for 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes. When you guys are ready, you tell us you're ready to answer the question, and we're going to come back. So we're going to take a break again and give them an opportunity to talk, and then we'll come right back on, and hopefully we'll be done. If there's any more questions, the hearing is still open. Okay, we are back on the record for the third time tonight. Thank you. All right, so has the applicant been able to decipher whether you will be able to acknowledge or not the ability to go forward with a third-party review?
So I had stepped out to see if I could get the owner of our company on the phone to get consent. I couldn't get him on the phone. I can have an answer for you by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
We did just speak to Jim, and I think he has a solution as well
Yeah.
for that.
So
if he's not getting-
logistically, what we have to do is the board and staff share the same concern that because of phase one and a phase two and what's there, like I said, if there's hurdles, that may be the largest one. There's various levels of hurdles, that might be the largest one. So we are going to vote, and we'll see how the vote goes, to have a third-party review at the applicant's expense, and that has to happen tonight, and then you guys communicate tomorrow, whether it happened, we'll deal with all those variables tomorrow. But
Understood.
that's gonna happen tonight. And we're gonna continue the hearing, we're gonna continue the hearing, we'll vote to continue it at the end, and we already have your letter to allow it. So if there's any more questions tonight from any of the commissioners that need to be asked, because any email question can go to Rob, and then he'll let us know. And any single commissioner with a question, the answer that Rob gives will go to everybody. This question was asked, you don't have to say who it is, and here's the answer, right? And any information that the applicants do provide, I think Rob will provide it to us as he gets it. We're not gonna wait until like the day before the hearing and say, all right, here's all 42 things, right? So whatever that is, we'll get it as you do, all right? Do you have anything else you wanna say before we do our little business here with voting? No? Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so at this time, I will take a motion for the applicant to provide a third-party review of the site at the choosing of the town at the expense of the applicant. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Environmental study. Mr. Kroll seconds. Okay, it's the environmental impact study. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. All right, so with all that being said, I think I will take a motion to continue this hearing to our February planning and zoning meeting. Mr. Deacon, motion, second. Ms. Hall, in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you very much. Anything else? Planners report. There isn't one, right? Thank you. Is there acceptance of the minutes?
Read the minutes of the December 17th, 2025 regular meeting and found them to be their usual order. Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Ms. Hall, thank you. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you. All right. Everybody have a nice week. Anybody coming to my meatball contest next week? Hearing's closed. Motion to close. Did I include that already? No. Motion to close. Adjourn. Close the hearing. Close. Yeah. Adjourn. All in favor, aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.